Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
This is Kerry Murdoch with Practical E-Commerce. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations. Anyone who has purchased used books on Amazon likely is aware of Thrift Books. It launched in 2003 as a pure-play Amazon seller, and now, with its own website and sales on other channels, has grown annual revenue to $150 million per year. It's the largest used book seller in the world. Its CEO, Mike Ward, has been with the company since inception, and he's with us today. Well, Mike, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's great to be here.
Mike, I'm tempted to say anyone who has purchased used books from Amazon is aware of your company, Thrift Books. Certainly I am. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about Thrift Books, when it was started, where you located, your mission, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Thanks, Kerry. Yeah, I mean, it was I was pleased to find out that you did know who we were and that you'd purchased some books from us. You know, I would say it's not unlikely that many people have perhaps bought a book from us, through our Amazon seller account and maybe didn't even realize where it was coming from. I've had conversations over the years with people that say, yeah, I bought a used book. And I say, well, where did you buy it from? And they say, I bought it from Amazon. And I say, are you sure? The seller you bought it from? And, we dive a little deeper into that conversation and come to discover that they bought it from one of our affiliates. And so, yeah, we do believe we're the largest online seller of used books in the world, probably. And that is what we do. We sell books online. So we're headquartered here in Seattle. We've got 8 fulfillment centers around the country. We employ about 900 folks, and we have revenues today of around $150 million. We were founded back in 2003, a long time ago. So, kind of in the position that a lot of your listeners might be in, where we were literally in the founder's living room and an opportunity came about, which was Amazon opening up their APIs to allow third-party sellers like us to put items for sale on what was at the time just a book selling website. And, we went down that road and we've taken shipments to the post office in the trunk of a car and all of those things that you do when you're very, very small. And we've grown over the years. So we're happy where we're at right now. We think we can probably continue to grow from here.
Was your vision at the time, Mike, to sell used books and only used books? When you started in 2003, I just think that was a lot of foresight to recognize that niche. Did you intend to stay in that niche at the time?
No, to be honest, I think that was an opportunity that we had discovered, and it was a bit fortuitous. One of the founders worked at a large thrift store in the Seattle area, and so had access to used books. And so that was the genesis of the idea. As we grew and got bigger, we definitely made a strategic decision to stay focused on books. We become over the years quite good at selling within that niche. And so as we've looked at other categories or expanding, that decision has become very strategic for us. But early on, I would say it was happenstance that was where we started.
Now at $150 million per year in revenue is staggering. That is what an accomplishment. Congratulations. If I punch the numbers out correctly on my calculator, assuming a selling price of $5 per book, which may be high, I don't know, you would know that better than me. That's 30 million individual titles that your company sells per year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's in the ballpark. We've got our average price per item is a little higher than the $5 that you were guessing at. So
Okay.
we are anticipating this year to sell about 25 million units. And yes, that's a staggering number. When you look at some of the other sellers on the major marketplaces, eBay, Amazon, etc., they don't publish, and nor does Amazon publish total sales numbers. They keep that private. But there are some aspects of that are public, as your listeners know. One of the biggest ones you can measure is the number of feedbacks that you get. And so you count up how many customers leave you feedback on those channels. So our 8 accounts and affiliates, when you add them up, are collecting right now on Amazon close to a little over 10,000 feedbacks a month, which puts us right there neck and neck with some of the biggest sellers on eBay right now in terms of quantity of units sold. I'm sorry, eBay and Amazon in terms of units sold. So we're right neck and neck with Pharma Packs. We're ahead of brands that your listeners may know better, like Anchor Direct and Zappos. In terms of units sold, we're pretty high.
And the companies you just cited, those aren't booksellers.
No, they're selling. PharmaPacks is selling a variety of stuff you would find in, lotions, and I don't even want to say pharmacy, but drugstore kind of merchandise. And Zappos obviously sells shoes, and Anchor Direct sells batteries and phone chargers.
25 million books per year. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Are you the largest bookseller in the world?
Yeah, we think so. There's not really any other companies that are doing, there's a handful of other companies that do what we do at scale. And from, what we can see, looking at things, metrics like the one I described, looking at feedback counts, et cetera, we think we're ahead of any of those other competitors and probably twice the size of most of the other big players in this space. And there's really only 3 or 4.
Wow. So where do you find 25 million books per year to sell?
Oh, yeah, good question. We buy them from our thrift store partners. Primarily, we have some partnerships with libraries where we take some of their out of circulation items as well, take those on consignment. But for the most part, we're partnering with charities, thrift stores like Goodwill and Salvation Army. And when readers or you or anybody takes a book and donates it to Goodwill, they stack it up and they put it into big boxes that are really big, 5 feet by 5 feet by 5, palletized boxes that go on a semi-truck. And we buy that from those thrift stores and we pay for that by the pound. And then we bring that into our facilities where it's processed, which is a vague term that means we use technology to figure out which of those items are sellable, which are not. There's humans involved in grading them carefully so that our customers know what quality the book is in. There's a lot of books that come in that are not in a sellable condition, and those are weeded out. So there's a large volume of items coming in. So, to sell 25 million books a year, we purchase, millions of pounds of books every year. If we take all those this year, maybe close to 300 million pounds of books that we're going to buy. If you stack all those up in the football field, you're going to make a pile that's something like 80, 90 feet high. Just very, very, very high building in the middle of the football field. I like to think of it not like a building, more like just a pile. A pile. It's quite an amazing system that, frankly, didn't exist. We're not the only ones doing it, but didn't exist at all 10 years ago.
So popular titles up on your site, fiction, nonfiction, a mixture of those. What goes the quickest?
Yeah, so imagining, if you will, kind of what we would likely be getting in those boxes from Will and Salvation Army, you can imagine it's a mix. We get a little bit of everything. And it does depend on the city. So, Silicon Valley, we're going to be getting a decent supply of technical books and computer programming books, things like that. You're going to get more of those there than you're going to get in other places. Seattle, where our headquarters is a very good market for us in terms of high quality books. A lot of fiction comes out of there. I did go look up some data. The book that we've seen the most of since January 2018, so basically an 18-month look back, the Da Vinci Code is the book we've seen the most.
Wow.
We've seen 147,000 copies of that book, and the next on the list is Twilight. We've seen about 138,000 copies of that book. So, you go down the list and you see a lot of these books, mostly fiction. Dr. Atkins' New Diet Revolution's on the list. He's maybe 10th, 12th down the list there. So it's basically a hodgepodge of what you would expect to see, probably, if you were to look at what are the best sellers.
I would imagine, given the process you just described, that you encounter truly rare books, collector books, in that process. Does that happen?
Yeah, that's correct. And due to the large quantities that we're bringing in, we've also had some very interesting coincidences happen as well. So yeah, we find some very valuable books. We found some first editions. Those books are handled differently than a standard fiction paperback kind of book would be. Those get a little bit more of the white glove treatment. But some interesting coincidences have happened. We sold a book in the last year to somebody who wrote us back and told us the book that she had bought was a book that her dad had authored, and the book that she had a signed copy that he had signed for her, and she'd lost it or loaned it, I can't recall, and she was sad about it and eventually decided she was just going to buy another copy. So it was out of print. It was an older book. She went on our website, found it, and bought it. And the one that she got happens to be the one that her dad had signed. And kind of coincidences happen when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of books. You're going to find that one in a million opportunity. You're going to find it a couple times a year.
That's incredible. So the example you cited on the Da Vinci Code, I assume that book is still in print and hardback.
That's right.
Do you hear from that publisher and does a publisher say, hey, you're making it hard for us to sell this book?
No, we really don't. And, I think the legal precedent is really, really clear on the used book industry. Used books and resold books as an industry has been around in almost every country for probably since the printing press was created. And so, we don't hear from them. We don't hear from authors. Generally our position is that what we do is good for the publishing industry, good for readers. So if it's good for readers, it's good for people in the book industry generally as well. In the same way that a library would be good for a publisher and good for an author. We're getting the book out to people. More people are reading it. We're giving those books another life. And our mission is less concerned with trying to, we're much more focused on the readers and trying to get the readers a value that will allow them to be able to read more, because we think it's good.
You alluded to technology, I believe is what you said, to evaluate whether you keep a book or not. Could you amplify that? So you've got this big shipment of books. How do you decide if you're going to try to sell one or not?
Yeah, so there's really two big pieces of that. One is, how do you decide what to sell it? And then the other piece of it is, what price do you decide to sell it at? So both of those are heavy, heavy technology problems. So at entry, when we're bringing the book into inventory, we're going to scan every single book that is in a sellable condition. And we're using algorithms that are constantly learning, that are improving, are self-correcting. I hate to use the word AI and machine learning. I think those are buzzwords now that can mean any number of things. But fundamentally, we're using technology and algorithms that know how to look back at the sales history for that item and can say predictively, we need to have 5 copies of this in stock because we know what demand is. We want 5,000 copies of this other book in stock. We know what demand is. We know what we can sell it for. And we know how many we have in stock right now. So depending on the book, every book has a balancing that's happening all the time. books have a life cycle. So a book that I wanted 5,000 of last year, I may not want 5,000 of it this year. I may only want 500 of that copy of that edition. So the algorithms need to be able to adapt and correct and learn over time. And yeah, we're dealing with today about 9 million SKUs that we have in stock. And so you get the entire range on starting at the top where you get the most copies. The Da Vinci Code, for example, would be in that top 10 list, down to something that is very, very scarce and probably not a very popular book. But those sell too, but they sell in onesies and twosies. A book like Harry Potter or the Da Vinci Code or the Hunger Games, we're going to sell almost all of those that we get, and we're going to get a lot of them.
You had mentioned to me earlier, Mike, that your background is actually development. The algorithms that you referred to, did your company develop those proprietary algorithms, I assume?
Yeah, that is correct. I don't know of any off-the-shelf software that creates an algorithm for deciding, what to list, what not to list, what to keep, what not to keep, what to put for sale, what not to. And I'll tell you, when we started our business, we had no algorithm there at all. We trusted the marketplace, which at the time was just Amazon, and we said we're going to put everything for sale, and we'll let the marketplace pick for us. And then over time, we began to get smarter about that, and then we started to layer algorithms on top of it. On the other side of it, where a book is already listed, or it doesn't have to be a book. Your listeners sell lots of things. When an item is listed for sale, we also are updating the price dynamically all the time, zeroing in on what that correct price is. So though there is off-the-shelf software you can buy that does that, we don't think the off-the-shelf software does a better job than what we do. In fact, we think our algorithm is better and probably quite a bit faster than what you can buy off the shelf. But that took as well years and years to develop.
You mentioned the process of evaluating, a book, using those algorithms. Could you step us through how that works in terms of the physical movement of the book, maybe the process where it comes in, someone's evaluating it, you're inventorying it somewhere, then you're fulfilling and shipping it out. Could you walk us through that a little bit?
Sure. Semi backs up to the processing center. This week, we'll probably have about 150 semi-trucks across our network back up to dock doors. Forklift takes the box off. The books are taken out onto big tables, sorting tables, and the rejects are rejected. The books that are torn and cannot be sold. Books that aren't books, magazines, etc. We get some of those as well. They're all taken out. The rest go through a system where the barcode is scanned, or if it's an older book that has no barcode, it's typed in, the ISBN, at which point the algorithm does a lookup on it, determining whether we want to have it or not. If the answer is yes, then the book is inventoried with a sticker on the spine, and it goes onto the shelf in our system, at which point the computer takes over and sets the price for that item, lists it for sale on all of the places that we sell books, including our own website, and manages the price over time. And then we wait for the orders to come in. As the orders come in, a pull sheet is printed out every day. Say, many pull sheets are printed out every single day, or digitally printed out because we don't use paper in most cases. And the person goes out, finds the book on the shelf, puts it in the cart, takes it back to shipping. It's put in a bag, at which point it's weighed and a label goes on. And then our shipping partners pick it up, and out the door it goes.
And that could be shipped out of any one of your, what did you say, eight fulfillment centers?
That's right. I mean, we'll ship it out of whichever is closest to the customer to try to get them the best experience that we can. But there are cases where the book we just have one in stock. And so in those cases, it's going to come from wherever that book happens to be.
Mike, your company, as you've explained to us, your company launched on Amazon, but now you've got this incredible e-commerce site of your own, which, as I understand it, actually accounts for more sales than Amazon does. many of our listeners are probably envious of that you were able to migrate that revenue a lot of that revenue onto your own e-commerce site. So how did you do that?
Yeah, good question. I would say a lot of effort over a lot of time. And yeah, you're right. When we first created our website, we were pretty happy when our first sale came in, and we were happy to be tooling along at 4 or 5% of our sales there. In the last 5 years, we've grown significantly. Since I've been CEO, we started when I took over 5 years ago as CEO. We started with about 10% of our sales on that website, and today our website is well above 50% of our sales overall in the business. So yeah, the question is, how do you do that? I would say the best advice I could give to your listeners would be to just understand the marketplaces that you sell on very, very, very well. And so start there. Start understanding what specifically you're getting in terms of profit for the items that you sell. I'm sure your listeners know, what the profit is that they get out of Amazon, but I challenge them to take a hard look and make a hard decision about what you want to list there. Amazon has made it very, very clear that they're more interested in higher priced items than they are lower priced items, and their commission structure bears this out. If you're selling a high priced item on Amazon, your commission fees may be 15-20% of the price of that item. On low-priced items, it can get close to 50% of the revenue is your commission. So I would challenge listeners to stack rank all of the SKUs that you sell in terms of the profit that you get off of those items, and then make a hard decision. Or is it worth continuing to list on each of the marketplaces that you're looking at an item that may be barely a break even for you? You may find it's more profitable to make that hard decision and to just simply not list that book on that site. And so that advice would flow to eBay and other places where you're selling items. Understand the nuances of all of the marketplaces that you sell on. And then the same is true for operating your own vertical channel. Our website, thriftbooks.com, we understand that as well, but it's a completely different beast than operating on a third-party market. But we do the same thing there that we do in the third-party marketplaces. We understand our profit margin. We understand what that traffic is costing us, and it's a long play. Building up a website can take quite a bit of time. It's not something you can do overnight. It took us better part of 5 years to get to the size that we are at right now. And it requires investment and it requires patience. And so you need to have investors that are willing to be patient as well. So if you're a small business owner and you are the investor, then I would say to your listeners, be patient and understand that. I would say you need a technologist in your company as well. Fundamentally, online retail is a technology business no matter what you're selling. And if you don't have a technologist in your business, then you're probably missing opportunities.
So I know Amazon remains an important channel for you, but how over those 5 years, how were you able to communicate to folks that, as well as Amazon, they can go to thriftbooks.com?
Yeah. Nothing that I think would surprise your listeners. We took a pretty traditional approach to building up that channel, and it just takes time. So we are out doing what you would expect, purchasing advertising on the usual suspects, Google, etc. But we're very, very careful about that, and we apply the same rigor that we do to our other data and our other metrics. So we are very careful to not overspend on those advertising dollars. So you can fall into a trap where you overspend on that traffic that you're getting to your site. And that can be a huge mistake, and it can be the downfall for people that are trying to build their own vertical channel. At the same time, we've invested a pretty heavy number of folks full-time in our business that are constantly improving and iterating on the website itself, making it better, making the customer experience better. So that also takes time. The key is iteration, which means you have to build a version, put it out, think of something that needs to get improved, build that, put it out, test it, and over and over and over. And that just simply takes time.
The platform on your website, you built that yourself?
Yeah, so we use, for the technical folks in your audience, we do use Microsoft's technology. So we use Microsoft SQL Server as our backend and Microsoft code base. So we're fully integrated on Microsoft's stack of technology, but the code is all written in-house. So we don't use any of the bigger website platforms that I think maybe a lot of your folks might be using. Ours is built from scratch on Microsoft technology.
I read, Mike, on your site. It was interesting section there on sort of the company mission, and the mission being to promote literacy, if I understood that. And you do a lot of interesting initiatives with promoting literacy in schools and prisons, that sort of thing. Could you talk about your efforts there?
Yeah, I mean, we're really blessed that we're able to sell a product that we really feel can improve the world. I think it's a magnet for the business when it comes to getting employees, finding people to creating satisfaction at work, creating engagement at work. We like to say that reading empowers people. It offers empathy. It offers education. It offers the ability to improve one's lives. And I often tell people that I'm interviewing, how lucky we are that we're not selling something like aquarium filters. And my apologies if any of your listeners sell aquarium filters, because there probably are some members that do. But we're selling a product that really has good emotion tied to it and really makes a fundamental difference in the world. And so we look at that vision twofold. One, yes, we donate books to places where they can't afford to pay anything for it. We've sent entire truckloads to Burma. We've sent bookloads to Africa. We've sponsored local schools on a smaller scale. We've sponsored local teachers in their classroom libraries. And we enjoy doing that. We also feel that just the fact that we are selling 25 million books this year at an incredibly low value proposition, we're creating a lot of value for our purchasing customers as well. So we find when we survey customers, we survey people that are our customers and groups of people that are not our customers. And the people that are Thrift Books customers are reading more. That is good. That's good for humanity. It's good for our world. Our value statements that we have inside the company are, we cultivate curiosity, we unite strengths, and we deliver value. And those first two, cultivating curiosity, that's that thrill of learning. That's those first steps. It's finding something new. Uniting strengths is something that's caused by reading books. So all of these values are things that apply both inwardly to us as employees of the business and how we operate, but they also apply to our customers as well. We want our customers to be curious people. We believe they are. And we want to cultivate that curiosity because it's healthy. We believe that if they read more, they can be stronger, and it is uniting. So these are great values that we're blessed to be able to have in our business because we're selling a product that's exciting and that people really, really want to get behind and is literally life-changing.
Beyond that mission, which is an incredible mission, you're clearly a successful e-commerce merchant. You happen to be selling books. You found amazing success, your company. Our listeners are merchants. They're much smaller than you for the most part, but they are merchants, independent merchants. Any words of wisdom for them as we wrap up the interview here?
Yeah, I would just encourage them to keep going and to be very, very smart and rely on the data. I remember the days of taking items to the post office in the trunk of a car. I've been there. The way we succeeded was through relying on data, through relying on technology. Yes, we sell a product that people love, and I'm sure that your listeners are all very passionate about the products that they sell. But as I said before, at its core, online retail is really a technology business, no matter what you're selling. So I would encourage your listeners to make sure that they have that base covered. Make sure that you're looking at the technologies that you're using. There are vendors out there that can fill in gaps while you're growing. look at those opportunities. But there's a lot of people selling a lot of stuff. So even with the vendors, be very, very careful. But you do need to rely on your data and understand the platforms that you're selling on and be very, very smart. But they can do it. There's room to grow. Online retail is bigger every year, but it has not stopped growing in my opinion. And we are still in the middle of a major renaissance in terms of what is happening in this space. And we're still constantly inventing the airplane, even though it's airborne. We're building it as we fly it. And everybody is. So there's room for new ideas. There's room for growth. But it's going to come from technology, is my opinion. So if that is a shortfall or a weakness inside of your business, if that's not a strength of yours, hire somebody that is. Figure out how to include the technology in what you're doing.
We have just another minute or so left. Mike, anything else on your mind today?
No, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate the chance to talk to your listeners and talk a little bit about our business.
Well, for purposes of our listeners, I've been visiting with Mike Ward. Mike is the CEO of Thrift Books. As we've said, it's the largest used book seller in the world. The website is thriftbooks.com. And Mike Ward, we want to thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.